Jai Gurudev, thank you so much for the invaluable insights today. Before we conclude, I would like to ask one final question. Given the themes of power and ambition we have explored from House of Cards, how does the art of living address the underlying desires for control and manipulation that often arise in individuals striving for power? How can individuals reshape their aspirations to be more aligned with spiritual growth rather than external gain? That's a very thought provoking question and one that lies at the heart of spiritual practice. Power, in the traditional sense, often stems from a desire to control or dominate others. Leaders like Frank Underwood in House of Cards are motivated by this desire for control, and we see how that leads them down a path of manipulation, deceit, and self-destruction. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji's teachings, however, offer a profound shift in how we view power. Rather than being about control or domination, true power lies in inner freedom, self-mastery, and the ability to influence others through love, wisdom, and service. In Art of Living, we emphasize the importance of detachment from the external results of our actions. It's about shifting from a mindset of achievement and accumulation to one of fulfillment through service and inner peace. Sadhana or spiritual practice plays a vital role here. When we engage in daily practices like meditation and pranayama, we reduce the dominance of the ego, which is often what drives the desire for power in unhealthy ways. The ego constantly seeks validation and control, but through these practices, we can develop a sense of humility and connectedness with others, which is crucial for ethical leadership. So, Darshan Kriya, for example, helps to clear the mind and release stress, which includes the stress of trying to constantly assert control or hold on to power. The release of this emotional baggage makes space for clarity and detachment. As one becomes more detached from external outcomes, their leadership becomes more about guiding others with wisdom, not control. When we stop seeing power as something that is hoarded or used to dominate others, we start seeing it as something that is used to serve and uplift others. This is a subtle but profound shift. Shakti Kriya, the practice that awakens one's inner energy, doesn't just give us strength but also wisdom to use that strength in ways that benefit others. Leaders who operate from this inner power create environments where people are encouraged to grow and succeed together rather than being manipulated for personal gain. Ultimately, Art of Living teaches that the highest aspiration is not to gain power over others, but to gain power over oneself, the ability to control one's impulses, emotions, and desires, and to act from a place of wisdom and compassion. In doing so, a leader becomes a beacon of light, and not just for personal success, but for the upliftment of society at large. And this is where true leadership begins, not with external ambition, but with the internal realization that power is not to be controlled, but to be shared for the benefit of all. What a profound way to reframe the concept of power, transforming it from something external and self serving to something internal and service oriented. It's clear that Art of Living offers powerful tools to help individuals not only navigate the world of politics and leadership, but to do so with grace, integrity, and compassion. I believe this is a message that can resonate deeply with anyone, no matter their role or position in life. Exactly, leadership isn't confined to the political world of boardrooms. It's a way of life, whether you are a parent, teacher, business leader, or even a student. Every individual has an opportunity to lead with integrity and compassion through Upanayana and Gayatri Japa. We learn to connect with the divine wisdom within us, which guides all of our actions. True power then is in being able to lead ourselves not by dominating others, but by setting an example of peace, wisdom, and service. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji often says, when you are peaceful inside, everything you do reflects that peace and positivity. Your leadership will be based on not on external circumstances, but on an inner strength that others are drawn to. This wisdom encourages us to lead from the heart, making choices that are not based on self-interest, but on what is best for the best collective good. That's such a powerful reminder. Leadership comes from within. It's a true reflection of the peace and clarity we cultivate through our practices. Thank you so much for sharing this wisdom with us today. I feel inspired to not only reflect on the lessons of House of Cards, but to also look within and evaluate how I and all of us can apply these practices to become better leaders no matter our field. Thank you. It's been an honor to share these insights with you. The practices of the art of living are truly transformative, not just for leaders, but for anyone seeking to create a life of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. By aligning ourselves with our higher values and practicing spiritual tools like sadhana, sudarshan prayer, and mindfulness, we can navigate any challenges life throws at us with wisdom and grace. May we all move forward with clarity, compassion, and commitment to the higher good. Thank you once again for your time and wisdom. It's been a truly enlightening conversation. May we wish all our viewers the best they embark on their journey toward ethical leadership guided by inner strength and spiritual growth. Until next time, may you all lead with love and integrity. Thank you all, and May all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, and may all beings be free from suffering. Namaste and Jai. Jagadev, as we continue exploring the relationships between the teachings of art of living and the power dynamics in House of Cards, let's look at the concept of manipulation and control, which are central themes in the series. Frank Underwood, in particular, excels at manipulating people and situations to his advantage. How can art of living practices help someone who finds themselves resorting to manipulation or deceit to achieve their goals, and how can these tools bring about a more ethical way of handling such power struggles? Frank Underwood's approach to leadership is deeply rooted in manipulation and control. He uses people as pawns in his pursuit of power. The idea of controlling others to deceit is not only ethically wrong but also emotionally draining for the one who manipulates. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings offer a radical shift in perspective. True power comes not from controlling others but from mastering oneself. In House of Cards, we see Frank constantly battling his inner fears and insecurities, and these often drive his manipulative behavior. The practice of Sudarshan Kriya can be very transformative in such situations. It helps release deep seated emotions like fear, anger, and insecurity that often fuel manipulation. By practicing Sudarshan Kriya regularly. Frank or anyone in a similar situation could learn to let go of these fears, and as a result, his reliance on manipulation would decrease. Instead, he could operate from a place of inner peace and emotional maturity, making decisions based on wisdom rather than desperation or the need to control. Sadhana or daily spiritual practices also plays a huge role in helping individuals stay grounded and stay true to their higher values. For Frank, his actions are often guided by a need for validation and control, which leaves him disconnected from any deeper sense of purposes or morality. Through a disciplined practice of sadhana, he could reassign and realign with his inner self, which would help him make more compassionate, conscious decisions. Lastly, pranayama or breathing techniques can help reduce the stress and anxiety that fuel the need for control. By calming the nervous system, one can approach situations with clarity without resorting to power struggles. When a person is centered and grounded, they are far less likely to manipulate others for their own benefit. That's a very insightful way to approach the issue of manipulation. Now, let's talk about betrayal. In House of Cards, betrayal is a constant theme, especially when Frank's political schemes fall apart due to betrayal by those closest to him. How can art of living practices help individuals deal with betrayal, whether in personal relationships or in high stakes leadership roles, without allowing it to negatively affect their mental well being? Betrayal is one of the most emotionally painful experiences one can endure, especially when it comes from someone trusted. Frank Underwood is no stranger to betrayal, as we see him grapple with it throughout the series, whether it's from his wife, colleagues, or political allies. It often drives him to act out of anger and fear, leading to more conflict. And out of living, we are taught to let go of negative emotions like anger, resentment, and hurt through techniques like Sudarshan Kriya and Pranayama. These practices help detoxify the body and mind, allowing us to release pent up emotional trauma. Sudarshan Kriya, in particular, has a profound impact on the mind, allowing individuals to let go of the emotional baggage that often accompanies betrayal. When practiced regularly, this practice and technique helps to release toxic emotions and fosters a deeper sense of emotional resilience, which is essential when dealing with betrayal. Additionally, sadhana and meditation help individuals process painful experiences with clarity and perspective. Frank, for example, is often driven by immediate emotional reactions to betrayal, making rash decisions that only worsen the situation. With meditation, he could cultivate a greater sense of equanimity, allowing him to respond to betrayal not from a place of vengeance but from a place of wisdom and understanding. Furthermore, mindfulness can also play an important role in preventing betrayal from completely derailing someone's mental state. By being mindful of thoughts, emotions, and reactions, a leader can recognize when they are starting to fall into negative patterns of revenge or anger. This awareness allows them to shift course and respond with the maturity and emotional intelligence rather than being consumed by the pain of betrayal. That's an incredibly helpful perspective, especially in terms of responding to betrayal with emotional maturity rather than reacting impulsively. Let's now touch on the concept of fear, which seems to drive many of the actions of characters like Frank and even Claire Underwood. How can art of living practices help individuals, especially those in high pressure environments like politics, let go of fear and work with a sense of inner confidence instead? Fear is a powerful force that often drives people to make irrational decisions. In House of Cards, fear plays a central role in Frank and Claire's actions. Fear of losing power, fear of being exposed, fear of vulnerability. This fear shapes many of their choices, leading them to manipulate others, betray their closest allies, and prioritize personal gain above all. Art of living practices, particularly pranayama and Sudarshan Kriya, are incredibly effective tools in reducing the grip of fear. Pranayama or controlled breathing calms the nervous system, allowing the body and mind to relax in high stress situations. By practicing pranayama regularly, individuals like Frank and Claire could reduce the anxiety that often drives their fear based actions. Sudarshan Kriya, as I mentioned earlier, helps clear mental blocks, including deep seated fears when practiced daily. This technique brings mental clarity and emotional balance. By releasing fear, individuals can operate from a place of inner peace, which creates more space for self awareness and wisdom. For example, Frank often acts out of fear of losing control, which leads him to engage in ruthless tactics. If he practiced Sudarshan Kriya, he would likely experience greater emotional clarity and confidence in making decisions that align with his values rather than acting out of fear. Another technique that can help address fear is sadhana or daily spiritual practice. By incorporating spiritual routines into one's life, an individual begins to align more deeply with their true self, removing the barriers of fear and ego. This helps foster a sense of trust in oneself and the other universe, a greater universe, which is essential when navigating fear inducing situations. When leaders are grounded in their spiritual practice, they are less likely to be shaken by external circumstances and more able to maintain a calm, balanced approach to challenges. That's a powerful approach, shifting from fear based leadership to leadership grounded in inner confidence and spiritual alignment. Let's now turn to alliances, a critical aspect of power in House of Cards. Frank and Claire's alliances are constantly shifting, with each one based on manipulation or mutual benefit. How can art of living practices help leaders build more genuine and lasting alliances, especially in environments where trust is hard to come by? In the House of Cards, alliances are often formed out of necessity or mutual self interest, with very little trust involved. This kind of transactional relationships is fragile and always prone to collapse. True alliances, however, are built on trust, authenticity, and shared values. Art of living practices can play a pivotal role in fostering these kinds of genuine relationships. As sadhana, daily spiritual practice can help create the foundation of trust and authenticity in relationships. When individuals commit to daily practices like meditation, they become more self aware and connected to their inner wisdom. This inner clarity naturally reflects in their interactions with others, making them more authentic and trustworthy. Leaders like Frank or Claire could form more genuine relationships with their allies by simply taking the time to connect with their deeper selves before engaging with others. The recalls on the practice of offering prayers at specific times of the day helps to connect individuals with the divine and maintain inner peace. This practice encourages leaders to stay true to their higher values, even when external pressures tempt them to make decisions that are self serving. With this kind of spiritual alignment, leaders can foster alliances that are based on mutual respect and integrity rather than manipulation and self interest. Lastly, Shakti Kriya, which awakens inner strength, empowers individuals to build relationships based on mutual support and collaboration rather than fear or control. By cultivating inner power and confidence, leaders can become more effective in creating partnerships that are generally beneficial for all parties involved rather than simply using others to advance their own agenda. These insights are incredibly valuable, especially in showing how the inner transformation of a leader can translate into more ethical and sustainable alliances. Thank you so much for your time and wisdom today. Your insights into how art of living practices can shift the dynamics of power and leadership are not only applicable to the characters in House of Cards, but to anyone seeking to lead with integrity, compassion, and clarity. Jagadev, it's been a pleasure to share these ideas with you. The wisdom of art of living can truly transform any situation, especially for those in leadership roles. True leadership comes from within. When we align ourselves with our higher values, the power to lead effectively and ethically is naturally awakened. May we all strive to lead in a way that inspires others to reach their highest potential. Thank you again for the opportunity to discuss these important topics. Thank you once more. We hope everyone watching today can take away valuable lessons on leadership, ethics, and spiritual growth from this discussion. Until next time, may we all lead with wisdom, integrity, and compassion. Jai Hind.